Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Hope this video finds you and your family doing well in the midst of this somewhat difficult time and uncertainty that we're facing, not only in the United States but around the globe. It's me again, and wanted to come on a minute today and just take a moment of your time and talk to you about the blessings of uncertainty. Heard someone the other day, they were going through the routine of some of the stipulations and requirements made in regards to the COVID-19 and coronavirus pandemic, and they said, well, that's an inconvenience. And someone said, well, your inconvenience now will be a blessing to you and someone else later. And the reality of it is none of us like to be inconvenienced. You know, I jokingly say often I don't even like being pulled up to slot 1 or 2 at a fast food chain to wait on my food. And so we are very spoiled and don't really understand what real inconvenience is, I'm sure, compared to most. But nonetheless, I think sometimes there are blessings that come with inconvenience depending how we choose to see the moment. And I was reminded this morning of a story in Luke's Gospel. And of course, there's 2 stories where Jesus talks to his fishermen and says, go out and cast your net. One, he says, on the other side. In this particular passage in Luke, it's where he calls his disciples, and it's kind of a unusual setting because the fishermen have fished all night. They had toiled, they were tired, they were frustrated. How many people are getting a little tired and frustrated right now? Maybe, yeah. And they were fishermen, and they were washing their nets on the seashore, and Jesus walked by and pushed their boat out and said, can I use your boat, and began to teach from it. And after he taught, he brought the boat back in, and he told them to go back out in the boat and to launch out into the deep for a catch. And it's interesting because sometimes frustration comes from doing the same thing over and over without seeing a result. And they were frustrated, they were tired, they were weary. It said they had toiled, they had fished all night. Now get this, and had caught nothing. So they were washing their nets. When they were washing their nets, they were not only cleaning their nets, the debris, the weeds, all the things that would have gotten trapped within the nets themselves, the smell of the fish, the debris from the bottom, maybe some little tiny shells, rocks, whatever. They were washing all of that out. Not only did they wash their nets, when they would wash their nets, they would repair their nets. Because a net is only as strong as what it's connected to. And that's why it's important to network and have a network of friends and family and church and network during these times. But nonetheless, they were washing their nets. They were tired, they were weary, they were frustrated. How many people would say this would be an inconvenience to take the same boat, the same nets, and the same water and do what you had just done all night and not had seen any tangible results in what you had done? I want to tell you, sometimes there is blessings in inconvenience. Inconvenience, I believe, will do 3 things. 1, it will test your faith. 2, it will try your patience. And thirdly, it will take you deeper and cause you to do things differently. I'm going to say that again. Not that you didn't get me, not that you don't understand, but I just want to say that again. An inconvenience will try your faith. It will test your patience, but it will take you deeper and cause you to do things differently. Now, the fishermen knew how to fish. That's what they did, and they did it for a living. But how many people know that the boat that caught so many fish that it sank was the boat that Jesus was in? And during uncertain times, during inconvenient times, during frustrating times, during times where you're tired and weary, it's even more important to have the presence of God in your life and in your family and in your home. If I can kind of use an analogy from this story, in times like this, you need Jesus in your boat to experience the blessings of what inconvenience might bring to you and to your family. So it tested their faith because they said, Lord, if it be so, at your word, let it be, then we'll do it. In other words, like, we're having trouble believing this and seeing this. Look, we were just in this boat. We were just in this water. We just had these same nets. We're fishermen. But Lord, although it's testing our faith, see, what faith does is faith deals with what you can't see. Bishop Clint Brown says all the time, the opposite of faith is not fear, it's sight, because we walk by faith and not sight. And so sometimes you can't see it. Obedience is a strange thing because it's closely linked and related to our faith. Because what it's doing is it's asking you to put forth an action without understanding or seeing what the result's going to be. Now, if you could fast forward and look back in hindsight, how many people would like to live in hindsight and know the things that you see before they happen? But the reality of it is God is calling us to walk by faith, and faith is not something that we walk by just in certain times, but also even more in uncertain and difficult times like these. And so there's a faith that comes in knowing that God is God, that He loves me, that He's for me, that He's not against me, that He has good things for me, that He's a lifter, that He's an encourager, that He's a helper, that He's a very present help in the time of need, that He will never leave me nor forsake me, but He'll be with me to the end. And so what I want you to see today is, during this time, what you focus on will determine what you experience. I heard Pastor Stephen Furtick the other day say something that was very, very powerful. He said, fear and faith both are determined by what you focus on. And so during this time, an inconvenient time, a difficult time, an uncertain time, your faith is going to be tried, but in that, your faith can also grow and strengthen in the fact of knowing that God is who He said He is, His word is what it says it is, and that you can trust God through difficult, uncertain times. And the disciples were faced with this. Well, Lord, here's the same water, it's the same boat, it's the same nets, but nevertheless, at your word, Lord, this is trying our faith. It's uncertain, it's an inconvenience. We just washed our nets, now we're going to have to wash them again, but nonetheless, we're going to go out and do this. The other thing to do is try your patience. How many people know what I'm talking about there? They say don't pray for patience, right? Sometimes inconvenient times will try your patience. I say this all the time, and I believe it to be true, that when you go through tests and trials and tribulations, it's for two things. It's to prove your faith in God and to prove His faithfulness towards you. And so I want you to know today that although your patience may be being tried, God is faithful, God is just, and God will give you the grace to endure and to walk through what it is that you are going through and what you're facing today. The third thing, and probably the most important thing, is this: inconvenience will take you deeper and cause you to do things differently. Inconvenience, it will test your faith, it will try your patience, but it will also take you deeper and it will cause you to do things differently. I want to tell you, the disciples launched out into the deep and they cast their net in the other story on the other side of the boat. And I want to say to you today that during this time, it's an opportunity for you to go deeper and for you to do things differently. It's an opportunity for you to go deeper in relationships. Relationship, first of all, with God. Your relationships with others. Your relationship with your family. It's a time for you to encourage one another, love one another, to help one another. It's a time for you to go deeper and to grow stronger. It's a time for you to do things differently than maybe that you've done. You can't just inconvenience, maybe run and do something you've done, or go somewhere that you want to go, or be somewhere that you want to be, and do what it is that you want to do. And so although it's inconvenient, allow it to take you deeper and allow it to cause you to do things differently in your relationships and in your daily routine that will produce blessings later. The inconvenience of blessing is this: it will test your faith, it will try your patience, it will take you deeper, and it will cause you to do things differently. Now, I want to tell you something before I get off here today, and I appreciate your time. Not everything that happens is God. Sometimes it's your choice, sometimes it's people, sometimes it's the enemy, sometimes it's circumstances, sometimes it's situations. Not everything that happens is good. But the Word of God today, you say, Rob, what do you think during this time? Sometimes I don't know what to think. I have to, my faith's being tested. My patience is being tried. I'm forced to do things differently and to go deeper in my relationships and in my thinking and in my faith. But here's what I want you to get today before I get off here is this: Not everything that happens is God, and not everything that happens is good. But the Word of God today, I can tell you this, the Word of God today tells us that He will work all things for our good. So keep the faith and realize that you might go through some inconvenient days ahead. It's going to try your faith. It's going to test your faith. It's going to try your patience, and it's going to take you deeper and to cause you to do things different. But remember this, even though things might not be good or what you would choose, God will use it and He will work it for your good. He's for you. He's not against you. Listen, we love you. We appreciate your friendship. We're praying for you and your family during this uncertain and difficult time, and we want you to know that. God bless you.